and the fat lady.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Over 50, starting over. I'm Barry Evans.
And I'm Merle Garrison. And that's Charlie.
Oh, yeah, there he is. He was insane last night. All night. I am tired because, he kept me up so much. He just had so much energy. I think a lot of it has to do with just spring has sprung.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a lot of the theme of this podcast. I got a lot of things I want to talk about that's going to lead right into you. What I want to lead with there, Merle, is Happy Good Friday.
Happy Good Friday. Thank you, Barry.
Yeah. Are you taking the day off aside from the podcast?
No, I'm doing work. I might take off early today, but definitely working today.
Okay, cool. And I had a conversation with Lisa about this yesterday that I thought was very interesting. She's like, I know this doesn't mean anything to you, but it means a lot to me. You know, she's a non-practicing Catholic, but her beliefs, are ingrained in her and mean something to her. And she, went on to explain how she just did her all-important spring cleaning and kicked Charlie and I out to do it.
Yeah.
And she was talking like, and I don't know, do pedicures and all these other foo-foo things that girls do. She's like, spring is rebirth to me. Good Friday means that, this is when Jesus died on the cross, and Sunday he is reborn. And she goes, that means everything to me at this time of year. It is a time of complete rebirth. And that is something that I innately feel, especially in Cleveland. You're coming off a hard winter, and right now everything's butted up. And when the sun comes out, it's like a whole new world. I mean, truly, and it is like a world that's coming back to life from the dead. It's an exhilarating time. And additionally, I just went on. So I come back from mine and Charlie's extended bachelor vacation. And I'm like, I gotta recalibrate. I mean, I gotta get back into the gym and start working out really well instead of this half-ass stuff. And I need to get my diet in order, and I need to trim down because I have just felt sloppy and a little fat lately for a while. And so I am I'm doing the non-drinking thing again, which, by the way, has something important to say about that with diet in a second. And I gotta steer away from bar food. So I'm not going to be doing happy hour tonight or anything like that.
Oh,
because
wow.
If you don't go to a good quality restaurant, then if you're going to an average bar or something, which all guys like, I really do. I love just average dive bars or whatever with some, if they have good bar food in quotes, you're eating high fructose corn syrup. I mean, it's going to be in their buns. It's going to be in different aspects of their food. And that's the worst thing on the planet that you can eat. It's going to make you fat. You can't digest it. And what I was going to say about the alcohol thing with diet, I listened to a podcast from a friend out here in Cleveland. He has a podcast called Jim's Revolution. And he got away from it for a little while, but he's coming back strong and having some regular episodes. And it's pretty much about self-improvement type stuff. And he had a guy on that is a fitness guy and a nutritionist, wrote a book about this. But he titled the podcast, which I thought was brilliant, How to Drink and Not Gain Weight. That's all. I mean, they talked about all kinds of things under the sun, but that's what he led with. And that's what hooked me. I'm like, I got to hear this. And here's what this guy said. And it came from research and all, but he said that when you drink, your body is recognizing it as a poison. And so it doesn't want to metabolize it. And then what happens when you drink is you want to eat some nachos. Freaking horrible for you. And all of this stuff is not being digested properly at all. So he says what you should do if you're going to drink an hour before you go out to eat and stop. And then don't drink until an hour after you're done eating so that you can process the food in between. So I think that's really good advice. But if you're somebody that really likes that, you start drinking and then that's your evening, Well, you got a choice. Are you gonna not eat all night or whatever? Anyways, I just chose to abstain from drinking for a while here and up my game with my diet and exercise to trim down. And I'm feeling good about it. This isn't like out of a negative thing, it's out of a positive thing. Remember when
Well, it's as you're saying, it's the springtime, new beginning, rebirth thing that's the theme here. That's a healthy theme.
And you know what, as you say that, I have the realization that it's also that even though I always say you don't recognize depression until you're coming out of it, there's that gray period of long.
I don't know
period
about that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I am coming out of it. I feel really positive. I feel like, remember how we talked, I think it was last week, how faith gives you the power to harness positive energy and things go well for you because of faith, right? And I said, I could also see the equivalent from an Eastern point of view, what you vibrate at. When you're vibrating you're at a low vibration, then you are affecting things in your universe at the lower vibration. You vibrate at a higher vibration, you're in that plane where things go better. And that's where I'm feeling right now. And I want to roll with this for a while. So I had a thought.
I love it. I love that.
Had a thought. I don't know how you feel about what I said about, oh, geez, I just need to get on a self-improvement detox is what I'm doing right here. You want to join me? You want to do a 6-week thing and see if we can trim down, maybe monitor our results or whatever? And
I like what you're saying right there. That's actually a pretty cool challenge. I would like to be a part of that. I definitely feel the same way as far as I gotta get myself into a good routine here. And I've been working on that actually, especially with my bicycle. And
it's a good way to go.
I found, and one of the things is this, I mean, I know myself, right? Like I've got to find a routine that not only is it a routine, but it's something that's sustainable. Like I gotta like it. You know what I'm saying? Like it can't be a drag. And I found just this week, I found that I could ride from my house to this trail that I found that's pretty close to here. It's about 2 miles away from here. So I could ride there and then I can ride this trail. And I'd never ridden on it until earlier this week. Now I've been on it a few times and it's beautiful. It's away from everything. It's not near traffic. There's no treacherous road crossings or anything like that. It's quiet. There's a view of the mountains. It's delightful. And
that sounds like it.
I couldn't wait after I did it the first time, I could not wait to get back on it the next time. And I just think that when you find that kind of stuff, like when I was in Ohio and I lost a bunch of weight, I found that I could ride the towpath trail. And there was a nice big hill in between where I was and the trail. So I lost weight pretty quickly just doing that exercise and watching what I was eating as well. And it worked out pretty good. The thing is once I started, and I've been doing this a few weeks.
Oh, here we go.
Weeks now, I've been feeling a lot more energy, a lot more energized. You know, and I know that what I want to do with my body and the look of my body, I know that's going to come along with it. So yeah, I'd be into it, Barry.
Well, how do you want to do it? Because I've been thinking about it, like weight wise.
Don't know. You just threw that at me. Yeah,
I know. So let's talk about it for a minute. So weight wise, it's like for me, if I had to say right now, my target weight would be, if I lost 10 pounds, I'd be ideal. But the thing is, with the amount of increased weight training I'm doing, I'll probably do a swap. Gain
weight. Yeah.
Well, a swap, probably 5 pounds plus added muscle would probably be where. So I don't know how to measure that. And then I don't know if you were to throw out a pound weight loss goal, it probably be very different from mine. I had a thought, what if we just put on our semi-tight t-shirts or whatever that we'd like to look good in, take a couple pictures front and side, share them, and then we can either measure progress along the way or do the big reveal 6 weeks from now, which would be like end of May, beginning of June 1st.
Okay, I'm sweating now.
Well, I mean, whatever. If you don't want to do that, if you simply want to talk about our progress and just do it that way, that's fine too. So I'm just throwing it out. I don't have anything thought out.
No, I like I love those kinds of where people are like, oh, I went on a diet, and then you show the before and after picture. Yeah. It's great because they've already lost all the weight, right? They're not going around showing you like, hey, look how fat I am right now. And by the way, in 6 weeks, I'm going to look better.
Well, the thing is,
they only do it after they lose weight.
It gives you
nobody wants to see that.
Right. But it'd give us motivation and accountability. And it would be nice.
It might be a little embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. Yeah. I'm embarrassed about it, but this is supposed to be about authenticity.
Right.
And it would be nice if we had people join us on that, but boy, we can't even get people to fill out comments. So I'm not even going to not even going to worry about that. So I like how you're thinking right now. I'll give you a little bit of time to think about, because like I said, I just threw it out, but I want to share with you a couple things that you're going to find interesting, and which are right along the lines of what we're talking about. Because I had, like I said, I worked out every day this week, 5 back-to-back hard workouts, really good workouts. And for me, that, oh boy, I have to worry about my shoulder with the arthritis in it. When I was in wrestling in high school, I separated, I had it operated on, pins put in it, all that stuff. And I was always told I would get arthritis in it. Well, after playing volleyball for years, that happened. And I'm trying to just jog your memory, because we've covered this in the podcast before. About 1.5 years ago, I discovered creatine, because I was looking for muscle recovery stuff. And still am, because with even halfway decent workouts, man, my muscles like hurt, not just hurt ache. I mean, like feel strained. And so as I get older, and that's actually found to be natural. So I found creatine to try to help in that recovery. What it did, it like has lubricated my shoulder. So after 10 years of physical therapy and trying to work out real light, trying to find some source of recovery, it was 1.5 years ago or so, I started using this creatine, and within 2 weeks, it was like miraculous, the improvement I had.
Okay, so are we talking about joint pain or muscle pain or just pain in general?
Well, talk about both. It started because I was looking for muscle recovery, something, foods or whatever. And I am going to share this with you right now. But what I found as a side effect that I didn't expect was that it helped my shoulder that I've been looking for some kind of solution to without surgery. For over 10 years.
Creatine.
Yeah. And I was talking to my friend Susan, who's an amateur bodybuilder nutritionist. She said, well, it's probably because what creatine does is it pulls water to your muscles and stuff, and it's probably lubricating your shoulder.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right.
It's also probably retaining some water weight. Too. So I'm battling that too.
Interesting.
But I'll take to have my shoulder so that my workouts are almost where they were when I was 40 years old.
Oh, well, okay. So let's go back to creatine. Well, I don't know. Have we talked about creatine before? I don't remember this.
Oh, I told you back 1.5 years ago when I started taking it.
Okay. Tell me what creatine is. I don't, what is it?
Well, it's amino acids.
First off, how do you take it? Like, is it?
It's a powder that you put a scoop, which is a small scoop, which is 5 milligrams into juice, or in my case, I put it in my almond milk, a small bit of almond milk.
Right.
And that's all there is to it.
Does it change the milk? Does it taste different?
No. I've put it into water before. It doesn't taste. And by the way, I make sure that I get the pure creatine, not the chocolate strawberry or whatever with all the fake crap in it and sugar. No, none of that.
Just what you need to go with your workout. A bunch of sugar.
It doesn't taste like anything really. In fact, when I put it in my almond milk, I put the almond milk in the microwave for 30 seconds so that it helps dissolve it. When it's super cold, it'll be a little clumpy. When it's just when it's slightly warm, it totally dissolves.
Okay.
And no, it's nothing. It's nothing at all. So
Okay, interesting.
so it's amino acids is what I
Amino acid.
found.
Okay.
It's all natural. And I talked to my doctor about it too. And he goes, hey man, it's all natural. He goes, I said, is there any problem with long-term use? He goes, anything all natural like that, don't worry about it. You're fine. And if it's helping you, stick with it. So that was cool to know. What I also just ordered yesterday, because I'm very concerned with the muscle recovery thing. I ordered some whey protein off of Amazon. It's coming today.
Whey, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that is supposed to help with muscle recovery. But I'm going to share a few other simple tips and tricks. And it's going to help you because you're talking about if you're going to start doing more longer distance biking, more vigorous biking, you're going to want to know a little something about some recovery as well, especially as we get older. 10 best muscle recovery foods and drinks, and this is by healthline.com. This is real quick too. I'll go through them real quick. Tart cherry juice. I couldn't find tart cherry juice yesterday. I looked this up yesterday morning. So this is how new this is. But you know what I did get? I got some Chobani Greek yogurt with cherry in it. So I'm getting protein and the cherries that way.
So this is basically, it's the cherry. That's yeah, okay.
I didn't even read.
I wonder why tart cherry juice.
Probably stressing don't get anything with that
with the sugar, right? Yeah, but cherries are naturally have really good sugar in natural sugar in it.
Yeah, you're right. They have powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties.
Got
reduces soreness, antioxidant, exercise-induced muscle damage. So I'm going to be on the lookout for tart cherry juice for sure.
Interesting.
And watermelon and watermelon juice. I got to tell you something, Merle. I saw a watermelon. I know they're out of season, so maybe they're more expensive for that reason. But a regular standalone watermelon at Mark's discount store was $10. $10. And dude, I'm telling you, shopping at Aldi's, I noticed this giant increase in prices, and they're like the last to raise their prices.
Right.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty bad.
It's brutal out there. I went to the store yesterday and bought like three. I got coffee, cream. I got a couple. It was like $30, and it was nothing. I had nothing. I barely had anything in my hand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. So. Anyway.
Okay, watermelon and watermelon juice, which I think is a very underappreciated, underutilized thing. Healthy choice for exercise enthusiasts, regardless of its potential.
They're so
benefits.
Refreshing when you cut up a watermelon home.
And I was just talking about how I'm abstaining from alcohol. I got to tell you, man, when it's warm outside, watermelon and vodka, a drink like that.
People love that.
Oh, throw some shavings of jalapeno in there for some spice. Oh, that's so good.
I've never had this before, but I know people used to take those into concerts, and they'd figure out how to infuse a bottle of vodka into the watermelon and then take the watermelon in.
Yes.
I just have a watermelon here.
That's so good.
I've heard people say that was really good.
Okay. Number 3, fatty fish. Of course, salmon. Everybody knows that. Sardines as well. Yuck. Not for me.
Me neither. It's such a turnoff.
But like salmon, I mean, and there's salmon. Always the debate: should I get wild caught or farm raised? Because farm raised tastes better because it's fattier. And I've read a lot about that. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Whatever you prefer. Pomegranate.
I wish that I liked fish more.
I know. I kind of feel the same way, but I tell you what, Lisa does salmon perfectly. Like I could never order it at a restaurant because nobody could do it better than her.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Pomegranate juice. It's a very good way to go. I was looking at it yesterday, but the problem with pomegranate juice, it's hard to find it where it's not high in sugar, even if it's natural. Because it is very high in sugar, and you want to, take a look at the grams. For the God's sakes, try to stay under 16 grams, which is hard to do when it comes to juices. I mean, you'll be into 26 to 28 grams easy.
Okay.
Beet juice sounds absolutely disgusting to me.
That sounds horrible.
It really does. So, I don't know. Maybe someday if I see it,
beet juice.
Oh, Bill Burr said something about when he was doing a diet of it.
Then. A diet of beet juice.
Well, he does some movies now and then. And when he does, he
Yeah.
goes on a strict diet and tries to trim down. And so, part of that, for this particular time, he did beet juice. And he said he got up the next morning, scared the living hell out of him because his pee was red.
Oh, that would scare you. All right.
Yeah. And it said it took him a while to realize it was the beet juice. So
maybe
heed
somebody
that
should have
warning,
told him
folks.
that. Oh, yeah. That's a big one right there. Boy.
Oh, here we go. Next one is whey protein shake. So mine is on the way from Amazon. Make sure you get it, stuff without sugar.
Hey, let me stop right there on the way, because I had been eating or drinking these smoothies with whey in them, and I'm not doing it now, but I have done that in the past, and then we were putting all these different things in there, and one of the things that Anne Marie was saying was, "Hey, put these flaxseed in there."
Oh yeah,
and I was putting flax seeds in there, but then I read that flaxseed for men, it reduces, it's like a testosterone killer.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I read, and so then I stopped putting them in there. Obviously, I'm like, wait a second.
I've heard great things about flax.
I heard a bunch of great stuff too until I heard that, and then I was like, I don't want to mess around.
If I remember, I probably will. I'll look into
flaxseed. Yeah.
Okay, so next up is eggs, which I do eat a lot of, and I'm going to say that cage-free eggs are infinitely better for you than the typical cheap farm-raised ones. And
why is that?
I don't know. I was listening to a podcast on Rogan. I brought them up before a few weeks ago. A man and a woman who did a book, but it was about nutrition. And the guy is a biologist, and his credentials are through the roof. He's published author on this stuff. He's an expert. And he said a couple of times, he said cage-free eggs are way better than traditional, your average non-organic egg.
Okay. So something about the chicken being in the cage affects the egg.
I don't know.
How interesting.
Well, if you've ever seen a documentary or anything about the way those chickens are raised, it's really in disgusting circumstances. And I think anything that lives in a state of trauma is probably not going to kick out the best production.
Boy, my brother-in-law has chickens on his property, and they get all their eggs from the chickens. And it's really interesting how, I found out that these chickens lay an egg every single day.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know that. And I thought, well, how could that possibly be? And they lay an egg every day. They do. And I said, well, how? So you don't even have a rooster. How could this possibly be? But so chickens, the eggs that you're eating are unfertilized eggs. I
wonder if, of course, what happens is to fertilize them, the chicken comes in the hen house and then sprays them to like that.
Okay.
Isn't that how that goes?
I don't know about that part because he didn't have a rooster, so I didn't go down that road with him.
Which is good, so he doesn't have to worry about that happening.
True.
And get a disgusting surprise when you crack that egg open.
So that's the thing. Is that apparently that would be a horrible thing.
Oh God!
And
I'd never eat an egg again.
Oh, me neither. And so, but the fact is that these chickens, they have an egg every day. So he's got about, I don't know, he had like 10 chickens. So he got 10 eggs.
A lot of eggs for one family
every day. And here's the other thing too, is they have, he has a young child. And so, there's no problem eating all these eggs every day, but it is a pretty amazing thing what's going on over there. And also the other thing too, the chickens, very friendly. They're and I pet one, very soft as well. Apparently they have personalities.
Oh, I was kind of wondering if they got pissed when you took their eggs.
No, they didn't. Well, I didn't go around to collect eggs, although I did have an opportunity to help clean the chicken coop.
Opportunity.
I think I got tricked into that. And let me tell you something. That is terrible. And I couldn't believe that that's what comes out of this bird, because I thought there was a big dog that had been in the chicken coop. Anyway, I can't imagine if you go back to this caged thing and these big. Jesus.
All right. Well, number 8 is dairy
stuff right there.
Number 8 is dairy, and I'm not a milk person. I went to almond milk, and but I do eat cheese and cottage cheese, and so that's good for some lean protein. 9 is starchy vegetables. That's your basic potatoes, butternut squash, sweet potatoes, and stuff like that, which I never thought, honestly, that potatoes would hit this list, but I'm kind of
Me
glad.
neither. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, because I do like
Woohoo.
potatoes.
I can't
Just
even
don't
believe number 10
overindulge.
either.
Coffee is really, they're talking about the caffeine. And I drink tons of coffee, so I'm glad to hear about, and then I go to tea. So that's really nice to know. And
Well, what does it say? It's saying the caffeine is good for you?
yeah, it's because the caffeine found in coffee blocks receptors for adenosine, whatever that adenosine is, a chemical that's released after injury. It activates pain receptors in your body. So that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat to know. Now, I say
really
that
cool.
There is the other side of it, is overdoing it with the caffeine will cause muscle cramps. So you don't want that. You don't overdo that. Now, I am just going to say that I also on Healthline found the 13 most anti-inflammatory foods you can eat. And that is something that's good for like arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, like my shoulder. And that's why I looked it up. And I'm going to go real quick. Berries. Okay, berries of all kinds, strawberries, blueberries, raspberry, blackberries, great for anti-inflammatory, and they're delicious. You're going to find a lot of overlap here, which I'm happy to say. Fatty fish. Okay, we're back to that. Salmon, sardines, herring, mackerel, anchovies. Broccoli. I love broccoli. I don't eat it.
I like broccoli too.
And I love avocados, but avocados have gone through the roof.
Have they really?
Yeah, I used to eat a little bit of guacamole virtually every day. At Aldi's, they would have the vacuum packed, how do I say that? A vacuum packed guacamole, all natural, about 4 ingredients in there. And you could just, cut off a corner and squeeze out what you want, and then put a paper clip over that corner, and it never went brown. I wouldn't say never, but it would take a week to go brown. So you could just take a little bit at a time. Well, they don't even have that anymore. Avocados have gone through the roof. Green tea. I used to do a lot of green tea. I just find it to be so non-flavorful anymore. It's like, but it's always supposed to be good. Peppers are great. Mushrooms is a superfood. And I try to remember the superfood by what is bombs, BOMMS, berries, onions, mushrooms, something else, and something else. So see how well I remember that?
Yeah, well, you got the first 3. That's pretty good.
Right.
I like that. There's a memory technique there too. That's pretty cool.
So mushrooms are a great way to go. Grapes, that seems to go hand in hand with the berries though. And Lisa's always got grapes on hand. And boy, turmeric. Turmeric is an underutilized spice. Now, when I make rice, which is rare, I should make it more. But boy, to put a whole bunch of turmeric in it, I typically do it with chicken broth, and throw a bunch of onions in there too for flavor and moisture, and then a bunch of turmeric just to make it taste kind of Indian-like. Well, that turmeric is really good for you. Extra virgin olive oil. I eat a ton of that. Love olive oil. It's in fact, with the potatoes, it's all in, because we were talking about that a minute ago. It's all in how you prepare the potato. Now you go and think those French fries are good for you. They're not deep fried, but you could put a small baked potato in a microwave for a while, and then just, till it gets really soft, and then split it in a couple of places and put olive oil and garlic salt on it. It's delicious.
Well, that actually made my mouth water.
Yeah, it's really, really good and very good for you. It's when you heat olive oil, it becomes, I don't want to say toxic, but very bad for you. It turns into very fatty fat.
Oh.
So yeah, it's best to cook with coconut oil.
Coconut oil.
But I do keep some spray olive oil on hand just to spray the bottom of a pan when I'm doing eggs. But yeah. So non-cooked extra virgin olive oil is the stuff, man. That's the way to go. Number 11, dark chocolate and cocoa. Is that cocoa or is that? Because there's always that cacao word.
I mean, that looks like cocoa to me.
That is cocoa.
Yeah.
And as long as you could keep that on the low sugar side, that's a really good thing for you too. And tomatoes, man, who doesn't love good tomatoes? It's a
I love them.
nutritional powerhouse, high in vitamin C, potassium, lipocene, and antioxidant with impressive anti-inflammatory properties, and 13 cherries. And who doesn't? That's back to, remember the
Oh
tart
yeah, the
cherries.
tart cherry
So let's just say
juice,
cherries
I
are really
guess.
good for you.
Yeah, I love cherries too, especially in
So
season.
again, Merle, as you're ramping up the bike rides and stuff, keep those things in mind.
These are good things to have with you in your bag, when you take a break, and the cherries, the grapes, these things also are good, the good liquids as well, while you're riding too, I find. So and easy to put inside of a nice, I have a backpack that I take with me, so those are good things to take.
Okay.
Good stuff right there, Barry.
I wanted to just ask you, staying on this theme of spring, the rebirth, Good Friday, and all that. Does this time of year, this weekend, I mean, I know how dearly you hold your Christianity to your heart.
Yes.
What is there anything special that you do, or what does it mean to you?
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking. First of all, this is for me, this is the big deal as far as my Christian faith goes. And I have an interesting story of my whole Christian journey, but a big part of it, I just feel like God he knows how to get to you personally. He knows me personally. He knows you personally, Barry, and he loves you. And he communicates with you on your level. And he knows what you like. And so for me, growing up, my parents went to New York City when I was a kid, and they had this Broadway experience where they went to see Jesus Christ Superstar. And when
I
they
remember
came
how
back,
popular that was in the 70s.
well, when
We
they
had
came
the
back,
album and stuff.
my dad had the 8-track tape, and he played that 8-track every weekend. I heard that the whole thing probably 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
And Barry, I loved that music, and I couldn't get enough of it. And the words to the songs, and now Jesus Christ Superstar is the last week of Jesus' earthly life. So every day it's following the gospel. It follows it pretty close. There's some deviations there. Every movie I find has serious deviations from what it says in the Bible, but it was pretty close. And I started to have this love for Jesus through that experience as a kid. I didn't become a Christian until I was 19 years old, but the seed had been planted in a very big way. So in my experience, it's this week leading up to the crucifixion and then the resurrection that is really the cornerstone, not only of my own faith, but it turns out that that's the cornerstone of the entire Bible, is this week of this Holy Week leading up to the resurrection. Everything in the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament, focus, that's the pinnacle right there.
And is it same in Judeo-Christian faith?
Yes, it's if you take a look at the Old Testament and the New Testament, the Old Testament is a shadow of what's to come. It's the New Testament is a revelation of everything that the Old Testament says. So from beginning to end, the Old Testament is pointing to Christ. The New Testament is the revelation of this is who he is. It's very, very interesting how precise it is. But if you take a look at today, it's Good Friday. In the Jewish calendar, it's Passover. And if you take a look at those two stories, you'll see that the Passover, where they had to, here comes the angel of death. He's going to kill the firstborn son of every family unless you have the blood of the lamb on your doorpost, and then the angel of death passes over. Well, the blood of the lamb 3,000 years later is Jesus Christ. And it's the exact same thing. It's the blood of the lamb that protects us from eternal death. According to the Bible, eternal death is separation from God. So let me just say this. For me, Jesus says this in the word: There's no greater friend than one that would lay his life down for his friends.
Yeah.
And you really think about that.
Well, I don't have to think about that for too long. That's kind of
No,
self-evident.
it is. But then when you think about the type of death that Christ was destined to die, the Old Testament points to exactly how he's going to, he knows exactly how he's going to die. And I've studied the crucifixion and what it does to your body and how it's done, and it's a terrifying, terrible,
yeah, it's horrifying.
it's the worst invention of execution ever. And knowing that you're going to this and you're going to do it for somebody else. He didn't have to do this. And this is God doing this for you. This is how much he loves you. That whole thing, this is the epitome of the agape kind of the self-sacrificing kind of love. This is where they say God is love. This is what's meant by that. This is what was meant for you, but he ends up paying your price for you. I mean, that's mind-blowing to me, that kind of love. And this is the kind of love that the world needs now, like that old song, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. This is what every neighbor needs to shine on every other neighbor. If people would do that, and just, this is the intersection of everything Christianity. If we could just take this example and pass that forward, it would instantly change the entire world. And so when I think about that and think about that kind of love, it permeates inside of me so that I'm a changed person as a result. And that same kind of love, once you have it on the inside of you, then you have it to give to other people as well. And it changes lives. It changed my life. Anyway, for me, I think about every day of this week, you can go into the gospel and see what Jesus did on this particular day of the week going forward. And Anne Marie and I read a devotion to her every day. And we talk about this as we come to this day. And then on this particular day, it's just a reverent day. I woke up early this morning. Christ went to the cross early in the morning. He died at 3:00 in the afternoon. I think about the events as we go through the day that are in the Bible, and it just does something for me, culminating on Sunday with the resurrection, which, again, is just it's the pinnacle of the Bible, is the resurrection. There would be no Christianity if there was not a resurrection. Our faith would be futile, but there was a resurrection. And it's proof on who he actually is. And people can say that it didn't happen, but no one can prove that it didn't happen. But the proofs that it did happen are pretty overwhelming. And so once you really start to look into that, it kind of blows you away. And I'll just say one other thing. That love on the cross, every movie I've ever seen that's really a good movie takes the essence of that story, that love, that self-sacrificing kind of love. Every great movie has some sort of theme in it that you could point to that in. The best ones, the ones that get your heart, they have that kind of love inside of it. So that's what this is about. That's really what this is about. I really feel like this is a time for Christians to show non-Christians that kind of love. And that's what really attracts people to God, not these rules and regulations and judgment and condemnation that repels people. It's the love of Christ that changes everything.
It's trying to harness the ability to live in a state of unconditional love. And that's the same thing when I talk about realizing that if I can get in a higher vibrational harmony, then everything goes better. What is that? It's love. It's when I'm at the gym and I'm looking around and I'm thinking about how bad the music is and how irritating that person over there is. And that person's just staring at his phone on the exercise equipment. All of that. No, now I got to stop and go, I have to love these people. It's the challenge and it's a good thing to recognize the challenge.
You know what I think about, Barry, too, is I think when I get into that mode where I'm irritated with other people or like, how could they do this? I think about how God has completely forgiven me. Because when you really take a look at what the mark is for, you look at the 10 Commandments, for instance, you start to realize that what Jesus says is that, look, it says in the law that you're not supposed to commit adultery, but I say to you this, that even if you think of a woman in that way, you've committed the sin of adultery. And so the standard is so much higher than just the action. It's something that's actually, when you start to really realize it, it's impossible to live the law. It's not possible for you to do it.
But it's an ideal.
It's an ideal, right? But you can't do it, and you need a savior in order to get there, because you can't do it. He did it for you. In other words, you can't do this. So when you think about the wages of sin or death, well, then that's what I deserve. So how dare I go and judge this guy over here when I've been forgiven of all of my shortcomings?
Wow,
that's really what I really think about, is that, okay, if I'm expecting people to favor me, if I'm expecting God to favor me, then how dare I, who's fallen short of everything, have some kind of judgment against this guy over here? Yeah. And then that level sets everything. And so this is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Love and forgiveness. This kind of love and forgiveness go hand in hand.
What we're missing in today's society, as they divide us up, and boy, both sides of the parties really like that too. As long as they stay divided, they can't unite against us, and we can pass all of our corporate funding packages and all of that. And that's where we're at. Let's move on to current events. I am dying to talk about this, Merle. Elon Musk and Twitter.
How about that?
What a week, huh?
Yes, no kidding. Well, it's like fireworks this week with Elon Musk, and I can't help feeling admiration for this guy.
Agreed.
And at the same time, I'm a bit terrified at the power that this guy has.
Well, boy, did you just say a lot right there, because we started touching on that last week, I remember. And okay, so Elon Musk himself is saving our space program and now trying to save free speech on our social media platforms. And on the other side of things, you got someone like Bill Gates, who's all involved in our healthcare industry for some reason, acting like he's a doctor. Bezos is wrapped up in our entertainment industry and a number of other things. Dude, we're an oligarchy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like, right?
We are.
Hey, just going back to Gates for a second, Gates doesn't even have a college degree. And yet,
is that right?
People look at him like he is some kind of doctor.
Right. Well, I think he positions himself that way.
He really does.
Yeah.
He plays one on TV. He's not a doctor, but he plays one on TV.
Additionally,
but back to Musk. Yeah.
Additionally, about the irony about Musk, this is the guy with the electric vehicles. Loves it. AOC proudly tooling around in her Tesla, going to her luxury apartments in DC and New York City, somehow on $175,000 a year salary. And yet this is the guy, now he's championing free speech.
Yes.
And they got to be they don't know what to do with themselves. Well, I know what they did. They panicked. The entire left panicked. So he bought the 9 point something percent. And then the next day he realizes, well, I can't do anything from the board. So he goes and positions himself to buy up the majority.
Yeah. Twitter. So he declines being on the board, so that because being on the board is going to prohibit him from buying a larger share of buying the company, actually. Yeah. So he declines being on the board over the weekend, and everybody's like, well, what's he going to do? But it looked pretty clear that he was going to make a purchase. And apparently, and I just read this morning, Barry, that he's offering $9 more per share than what the trading value was yesterday.
Well, then you must have read this morning too about Vanguard Group, of all people. Mm-hmm. They went and bought a stake of 10.3%. So that they would have a larger share than him. 12 hours, man. The left panicked for 12 hours and made this move.
Wow.
They are that panicked about losing the ability to control speech.
Boy, Barry, that is really spot on. Notice seeing Vanguard. I did not see that, but we've talked about this before. Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock.
Yes.
They own basically everything. Together, they own basically everything in the world.
That's basically the dark, deep state coming out
in
the forefront, coming out of the closet to be like, oh my God, things have hit the fan and we got to come out and take control.
Absolutely right, Barry. And here's what's going to be also interesting here is we see, and I got to say, the things I've seen Elon Musk saying, I have to agree with regarding free speech. I think he's spot on that whole thing, but he's a billionaire. And you can't trust a billionaire. I'm sorry, because there's just too much power right there. And the fact is I don't know if you thought about this, Barry, but I saw somebody speaking about this during the week, and he was talking about that company that Elon Musk created with the chip inside of your head.
Yeah.
And being able to do all these miraculous things. But what he was posturing is that Elon Musk may indeed be looking Neuralink, right? May indeed be looking at the free speech aspect, but Twitter is one of the world's greatest AI engines and world's most powerful AI engines. And when you mix AI with what he's doing with this chip, you start to look at the internet of humans, and you start to look at this transhumanism that you and I have talked about so much, where man and machine start to merge together. Have you thought about that before? Because that's a pretty powerful thing to think about, especially when you start to think about all the other things Elon Musk is into, with satellite communication, with this communication system that he has over Ukraine right now, helping them to communicate and having this all points of being able to control really many aspects of our lives with this type of technology, which could be a good thing, but also could be a scary thing.
I totally get your point on that. So I don't know. We have to see where it goes. I kind of like, I know that he's got so much money that it's not even a big deal for him to put $43 billion into it, because he'll get it back pretty much immediately.
Overnight. Right.
Yeah. But at the same time, isn't it easier to just go to one of these other platforms that's been trying to usurp Twitter? Why not just say, if Elon Musk has that much power, and I think he does, and influence is what I really mean, why does he just say, look, everybody, I'm going over to this platform? In fact, why doesn't he partner with them, put a bunch of money behind a competitor and say, I urge everybody to go over here. It's a free speech platform and it always will be. And I'm putting all my money behind it to make it the best platform it could be. We're going to crush Twitter. Why doesn't he do that?
See, and I think that plays right into that speculative story that there's another reason why he wants Twitter, and it's that AI engine and the algorithms that go along with that. And so, and if you, Elon Musk is basically like, I kind of like the taste of this soup. How much is it for the restaurant?
I think that's a good way to put it.
And that's the scary part, is that he could just slap down. This is an all cash offer here. Okay. And here's the other thing I read today is, okay, so if they decide to pass on this, who in their right mind, what shareholder that has any kind of equity stake would want you to pass on $9 above what the actual strike price is? If they decide to pass on this, then it's a blatant admission that you're trying to control free speech.
Oh, and it's clear. And there's plenty of stories about the workers the employees at Twitter, that all those blue hairs just haven't, they had to have a day off, a safe space day off. And they did.
Poor people.
So, yeah, it's a sad situation we live in, the coddled generations that we've had. I say generations plural, because it's been doubling down with each generation here.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, when you take a look at our generation compared to our parents' generation, compared to their parents' generation, it's pretty obvious that. And then you take a look like my kids, what they're going. My kids are like, I'm afraid for what happens with our kids when we have kids. What's going to happen? I mean, this is the wild west.
I can tell you what's happening. Teen overdose deaths are rapidly rising, but not because more of them are using drugs. In 2021, fentanyl was involved in more than 77% of adolescent overdose deaths. This study says fentanyl is 50 times more powerful than heroin. 50 times more powerful than heroin. It is extremely cheap to produce. I have a whole CNN article on it, and basically the gist of it is that even though drug use is down amongst the general population of teens, the deaths are up because of the strength of these drugs. And this And this is another reason why I think that we should be looking at legalizing these things so that we can take control of that and then put the money back into rehabilitation. And the other thing is, I thought I had another link here. Maybe I do somewhere, but about the rise in depression amongst teens, and it talks about basically they have less stress on them. Less is being asked of them. They don't do chores, for God's sakes, most of them, but they have a higher degree of anxiety, like anxiety attacks and depression are through the roof. And it's because of the coddling generations that we've had. And our generation was horrible about it. Coddling our kids, helicopter parenting. And then these kids have no idea how to behave and handle the struggle that is life. And that is pretty much life and struggle is synonymous.
Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah. And if you try to take the struggle away from them, then their struggle is trying to figure out how to either create a struggle by burning the place down, or how to deal with any struggles that face them when they go out into a job market. And hell, just the interviewing process is enough to cripple them.
Well, if you really take a look at it, when we were talking about working out earlier, it's resistance, right? Resistance causes strength.
You're exactly right.
That's life, and life has resistance to it. And if you're not working out with that resistance, when you get into the real crisis, into the game, so to speak, you're not going to have any strength to deal with it. And you're just going to get run over every single time. I remember being in track, and if you stop doing, spring break was always the big litmus test. The day after spring break, my coach would always try to run the wheels off of us to find out who was working out during the spring break. And I never did. That was usually the time where I was like, I think I'm sick, coach. That's why I'm throwing up over here. It's not because I didn't work out. But I mean, you can't fake this. And we've tried to take that away. Like, I just want a better life for my kid. I don't want them to have to deal with all this struggle and everything. It's the struggle that helps them. It's sort of human. It's how we're built as human beings. We're meant to have this type of resistance, and even with I can't help thinking about our immune systems. I remember my ex-wife's grandmother nanny used to just try to protect my kids from everything. Don't let them outside. Don't let them have dirty hands. Don't let them. I'm like, no, kid, go out and eat some dirt. Yes. Yes. Get eat food off the ground. I don't care.
Yes.
Whatever. I mean, she had them all bundled up so they're sweating and everything. So it's 60 degrees outside. They're wearing like a big winter coat and everything, all red in there. And I'm like, oh. Anyway, this resistance builds strength, and it's just how it works.
No, it's very true. And I remember years and years ago, probably 15 years ago at least, it was a Dateline special, something like that, where they did a study of farm kids versus city kids, and farm kids had way less incidence of sickness because their immune system was so built up. Same thing you're talking about. Everything in life seems to be about this resistance training. You gotta, yeah, you gotta exercise these things or else they atrophy. And that means your immune system as well. So I think, yeah, that's, we got all these peanut allergies and all these weird allergies
Yeah,
now that
why
we've
is
never
that?
had before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all a form of that. It's just trying to shield kids from everything. Jordan Peterson talked about his daughter-in-law, really praised her because when they were raising their baby, women are just so that there's an instinct that kicks in for the coddling aspect that is so important. That something like if kids don't get a proper amount of hugs and affection up to 2 years old, or so if I say that right, it might be up to 4, but they will develop a borderline personality disorder. And it's like,
I believe that.
And it's almost impossible to recover from that.
Yeah.
And so, but what in his point in this instance was, so his daughter-in-law, he praised her because she had, she did her best as a nurturing mother. But when it came time for this kid's first trip to daycare or kindergarten or whatever it was, she just dropped him off and turned around and went home and then cried. She did not stay behind, try to make sure everything was right, put all this anxiety on the kid and communicate to the kid that this is all a disruption and blah, blah, blah. No, she dropped him off, said, have a good day. And she went home. And that kid has never had any problems in this readjustment to society since. There's a pushing the bird out of the nest aspect that we do not recognize in our society.
Well, and you take a look at at my experience with my own kids was that my wife had the coddling it's like an instinct. Like
it is an instinct. You got to fight
even help it. She would hear her cry in the middle of the night,
yes.
And her body would be exhausted. Absolutely. But her brain would make her get up and go in there. Like, I don't even think she was even awake. Right. I didn't have that instinct. Mine was put a pillow over your head and it'll fade away and it'll go away. But you need to have both, because yes. it's the dad that's finally like, all right, get out there and get a job. Yes, and that's kind of how it was. You got to have both of those things work together.
That's why the 2-parent household is so important.
It's powerful. Nothing takes the place of that.
No, very true. Where do you want to go? I have a ton of other stuff, but it'd be kind of like changing gears, and I'd rather just see if you want to go somewhere with this.
No, I mean, we're coming up on the top of the hour here. I did want to say this one last thing is I got to tell you, I saw something in the news here this week. I've never seen anything like it. It's what's happening in China right now in not Szechuan, but hold on, I'll come up with the name. Have you seen these films, Barry, of the whole place is on lockdown right now? I'm looking for my article.
I read about it. I haven't seen it, but I heard about the drones flying over and saying, hey, everybody go back into your houses, and it said something about anti-freedom. I mean, I heard it.
Yeah. Okay. It's Shanghai, actually.
Yeah.
So I have some video. I'm not going to show it because Barry, I'm actually going to send you a link to this, because Barry, I've never ever seen anything like this before. Shanghai is I think it's one of the largest cities in the world. It's got over 20 million people living there, and they are on 100%. They're locked in. They're not allowed to get out of their houses. Right. And there's video now out there, and you can see this all over. It's viral all over the internet right now, of nighttime scenes from people's apartments, and people are screaming, like the whole town, Barry. They're all yelling. Millions of people are yelling out at night. And I mean, it sounds like hell. I mean, it sounds like these people are starving to death. They've been in there for 3 weeks now. They're not getting food. This is like the greatest human atrocity I think I've ever seen before. It's terrifying when you see it. The Nazi Germany pictures that we've seen of cars pulling up to houses and dragging people out, it's worse than that. This is a crisis beyond anything I think I've ever seen before, and I couldn't believe the video that I've seen of this. It's not just one. this is terrible. It's a terrible thing that's going on. I just wanted to, especially during this time of the year when we talked about Jesus and Easter. When I know that Jesus lives in my heart, and when I saw those pictures in that video, my heart just, I mean, just the love that I felt for those people and wanting to help them, and just, I know that God doesn't want that to happen to them.
Mhm.
This is, somebody do something. It's
Yeah.
just a terrible thing, Barry.
Yeah, that country is so big that we really can't do anything.
There isn't anything that we can do, but
Mhm.
I guess we need to pray for those
Awareness,
people.
yes, awareness helps. I mean, 20 to 30 years ago, we wouldn't even know about this or hear about this.
You're right.
At the very most, it'd be in the back page of a newspaper that we didn't read.
One of the things that I saw that was the most shocking, Barry, was what they're doing. They're taking these people that are testing positive, and they're taking them away. But a lot of these people have pets, and so the stories that I'm hearing about what's happening with the pets are, I can't even believe it.
China's awful.
I've seen big bags full of live cats sitting on the it's like a net, sitting on the side of the road waiting for a refuge to come and pick them up. I've seen them beating dogs to death.
Good God! All right,
It's just this is inhumane. It's just completely inhumane what's going on right there. And I think it's important for people to know that that's going on, because without knowing about it, there's nothing that we can do. And I think the first thing we need to do is just, there's those poor people, there's a lot of them. They first and foremost need prayer, and secondly, they need to know that there's people out there that care about them.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It sounds very helpless and hopeless. But awareness is a start, you know.
Well, it's a human government kind of thing, and knowing what can
All right.
happen sometimes prevents it from happening other places.
All right. With that, I think it's a good idea that we lighten this up a bit. And I got a good share for you. Got an orphan mountain lion club spotted by hikers, gets rescued. And this is so cute. 4-month-old cub was, I bet you I didn't share the sound.
No, I there's no sound, but I can see it.
Okay.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah, she arrived in very bad shape. Let's see. First of all, the 4-month cub was retrieved by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife biologist and brought to Oakland Zoo's veterinary hospital. She weighed only 8 pounds. A healthy female at that age should weigh approximately 30 pounds.
Oh my
Severely dehydrated, starving, covered in fleas and ticks, and a very low red blood cell count. Look how cute she is.
I know, what a face.
Yeah, since arriving, she's receiving round-the-clock care, and I have a video of this. It's not, although she's still underweight and fragile, they're optimistic about her recovery, and this is a short 30-second video. Super cute.
Oh, look at the trust in that in the eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, she's adorable. Watch this though. That's a mountain lion there, man. She didn't just lick it.
I'm gonna eat that.
Hand. Yeah.
Give me that.
But I love these kind
what
of
a
stories.
beautiful
Look at that.
animal.
Isn't she?
Ah, that is awesome.
Yeah, I love these stories. I really do. I watched that YouTube video, The Dodo, all the time, and it's stories about rescuing dogs, mostly some cats, some other animals. But I love it.
I love that kind of thing too. Hopefully, I got one too here.
Oh, cool.
Can you see this picture right here?
Yes.
All right. Grooming. So this is good. 81-year-old man saved from drowning in lake after his dog alerts bystanders.
And that's an old dog too.
There's the dog right here.
Yeah.
This is a 9-year-old dog. It's a 9-year-old beagle, Hound Mix, and he's actually wheelchair bound and was walking his dog by the lake, and his wheelchair slipped into the lake.
Wow.
And he started to yell out. Nobody heard him, but the dog started to bark and make a big commotion. It got one of the neighbors was alerted from this and ran over. Two of the neighbors actually, and pulled him out of his. He was up to his neck and about to drown, and they were able to pull him out. It ruined his wheelchair though. And, so not only.
Oh God. All right. With that, I think we'll
go ahead.
I think we need to wind this up. Your connection's just going.
It's terrible. I know. Let me just say this and try to finish up. The community ended up buying him a new wheelchair, and his dog ended up getting a spa day. And here's the dog at the spa right here.
Oh,
so
I'm not liking this at all.
I don't know. If you zoom in on her face, it looks like she's enjoying it to me. But anyway, there's a nice story right there.
All right, buddy. Well, all right, let's wind this thing up. We're going to do an after show, or are you going to take off?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. And hope to see you all next week. Please sign up with us at over50startingover.com and get all this stuff to your email box as it happens. Thanks, everybody.